Rise and shine. Pour yourself a cup of coffee and tune in to Good Morning Aurora. News, weather, and really cool interviews. Monday through Friday from 8 to 9 a.m.
The effect of this crazy information ecosystem and the way that it is sowing confusion and discord and it's like I truly believe it has the capacity to tear apart our democracy, and I want to fight against that.
I do too. But I do believe that in that milieu that we're talking about, there are irredeemables.
See?
And I believe strongly that all work should be done to rescue those who show promise. But I do believe that I believe that there are so many irredeemables. There are irredeemable mother effers.
Did we start the thing?
Good morning, Aurora. Good morning, Aurora. Good morning, Aurora. The time is now 8:02 a.m. Yes.
You didn't give me the time.
My bad.
What are you doing?
Hold on, let me,
I get an extra one for that.
Let's do it. Let's take it. Hold on. Let's take it back.
Try it again.
Good morning, Aurora. Good morning, Aurora. Good morning, Aurora.
Good morning, Aurora.
All right. The time is 8:02. It's still 8:02. That was quite
we haven't gone that far off the rails.
You are listening to Good Morning, Aisha Saxon, Dan Barrero. Good to see y'all. That's great. Yeah. We have a lot to talk about.
We have so many things to talk about.
And you,
as always. And
you may have noticed that we started in a discussion. So
we're going to go back to that discussion, but we're going to bring you in from the beginning, because I really want to talk today about a thing that is deeply a thing that's been on my heart a lot recently. I think it's a thing that's been on a lot of people's hearts and minds and just really weighing on a lot of souls recently. And that is what to do when you really don't agree with somebody. When you have that person in your life who is crazy.
Some of y'all that person's at home right now.
About something. Right. So if you need to go listen to this in another room, right. Just take it.
Honey, what are you listening to? Is that Good Morning, Aurora?
Yeah.
Sleep on the couch.
I am talking about all of the many things that are currently dividing our country's national discourse, right? Mm-hmm. So I am talking about your people planting their thin blue line flags in the yard. Okay. I am talking about when you were marching for BLM last year, or vice versa, right? I think this hopefully applies to both sides, and you'll see where I sit on a lot of these issues as I talk about it, but I think that it's on both sides. We both have some work to do with sowing democracy, but this is also your mom or your aunt or whoever who doesn't believe in the virus, right? The conspiracy theorists,
your Uncle
the people.
Jeff who's down in the basement.
This is the person you fight with at Thanksgiving every year, and maybe at Thanksgiving this year we'll resurrect this conversation. But I
ain't eating with no damn dams.
That's right. So those really divisive things that just make life harder, like being in community harder. And
Right.
what do you do with those people? And I think that the first question that I have for you is deciding if you want to engage with that person in the first place, right? Because you do not need to engage on like certain issues with everybody, right? Like, but I think that if you love a person and you want, like, they're your mom, they're your, like, there's someone who's been like your friend from a long time who just started talking crazy a couple of years ago, like, if they're a person that you genuinely care about, like, I think that there is an ethic of, like, care and concern there. Like, I think that...
Sure, yeah. For those of you tuning in, engaging with people who you don't...
Who agree with.
Who you don't agree with. Look, this is an important topic because as divisive as things have been, there is the potential for things to get better.
There is.
We can do better.
I think so.
But I don't know if we're going to be able to pull everybody to the realm of getting along. Jeanette thinks we can.
I have hope. I'm an eternal optimist. I also think that this show is really devoted to that, like being able to have difficult conversations with people from a wide variety of backgrounds, right? Because
live on air,
yeah, because we are one big happy Aurora family, right? So first of all, yeah, do you want to engage? You don't have to engage that person who sits at the coffee shop, like, that you don't really need to talk to if you don't want to, or your coworker or whatever, like, but those people that you do. So how do you, and I also want to impress upon people that just because they're wrong doesn't necessarily mean that they are bad people, right? Like,
right.
And it depends on the, like, it'll change depending on the issue a little bit, like, just how much you're like, ooh, that's a little vile. But, like, just because someone's wrong doesn't mean they're bad. Like, in Aurora, 42% of voters went for Trump and 56% went for Biden. So it is not like... You cannot assume that every person that you know and interact with believes what you believe, and like, you have to assume that there are people who voted for the other guy, and maybe it's because they want to see the downfall of democracy, and maybe it's just because they want their taxes lowered, like, which is not great, but like,
exactly.
But it's like doesn't make someone evil,
right?
Mildly misguided, perhaps.
Good morning to Victoria, Maria, and Greg Ellsbury as well. Everybody, sip it up.
Everybody,
sip it up. Oh, y'all, Britain.
Got BTP in the house this morning.
BTP, good morning to everybody. Yes, we're all here.
So the next thing I want to talk to you about is starting with empathy. Like, I think that is the approach, right? Because we now live in an information ecosystem that is unlike anything that humans in complex societies have ever witnessed before, right? Like, so you now have the opportunity to tailor, and you're not even doing it consciously most of the time, because Google is like, oh, this person's a liberal, let's send them this news, and this person's a conservative,
Taylor,
let's send them this news.
Tailor. Some of y'all might have been thinking Taylor Swift. No, that's not.
I also recommend that if you can find commonality, if the person on the other side of this argument with you also loves Taylor Swift, like, you find the common bond, right? You shake it off. Shake it. Okay, moving on. Thank you. So you're looking at, like, people are just getting different information than you are, too. And so you have to excuse when someone is like, I don't know how I think about that, or, like, I believe something completely different, because that's what they're seeing over and over and over again. And this isn't just what news they're choosing to watch, it's what is being sent to them, like, via Google, right? Because if I search something on Google and someone who has different political beliefs or different whatever, or comes from a different geography than I do, searches something on Google, they get totally different hits, which means that your reality is being shaped by algorithms that you don't even understand, right? Like, it's crazy. That's crazy, which means we don't have a common language. The thing that comes closest in my mind to my experience here is I used to live in Vietnam. And in Vietnam, Ho Chi Minh loves kids. He spoke 6 languages. He was a great statesman, and he just desperately wanted the West to stop colonizing his country. But here in America, Ho Chi Minh is a war criminal, right? Like, and probably the answer is somewhere in between those two, right?
He's so bad they named 75 miles of the worst road in the world after him. Like, that's
right. So, like, there's again, you're talking 2 different information ecosystems, but unlike the 1960s, now those 2 ecosystems exist right in the same sphere.
Okay,
right?
I disagree slightly.
Okay.
Here's why. In the example, we do live in an information age.
Yes.
In the example of the person who likes the red hat type of politics, they're gonna be inundated with they're searching for that. Mm-hmm. But if they type in something like vaccine rate in Kendall County, mm-hmm. the CDC is gonna pop up first of all. Now, if that person doesn't want to click CDC and instead they want to scroll all the way down to page 5 and read Red State Watcher or something like that.
Correct.
That doesn't mean that doesn't mean that we, the people, are getting 2 different sets of information.
We are getting the same set of data.
This is a good conversation.
That is true. We're getting the same set of data. But in that case, if you're talking about a person who has already been exposed over and over and over again to messages saying that the government is lying to them, they're going to skip CDC.
So the time is now 8:11 a.m. and Dan tells us don't start with they are wrong. They probably think you are wrong. That's a good point.
Correct.
That's right. Don't shoot them down.
So start with empathy, right? Consider someone's pain points. Like, what sort of things are they dealing with internally, like that some ideologues are exploiting, right? Like, so there was a lot of talk about this when people were trying to figure out in the early days of the Trump presidency what just happened, and there was a lot of talk of like, well, look, you have a lot of disaffected white like males who thought that life was supposed to be easier, and because of many economic conditions it was not as easy as they were told it was going to be growing up, and then suddenly like now they're looking for someone to blame, right? Like that was a big narrative.
Plus poor kids in Compton are getting free lunch.
Where's my free lunch, right? So like but it goes both ways. I wasn't getting free lunch in the
60s.
Right, but it goes both in the 60s.
Not me personally. I wasn't alive in the 60s. I'm just saying. That's some also, reactions I've heard.
I want to talk about the colors of those meal tickets from my childhood at some point, but that's a diatribe for another day. Okay. So consider where someone might be coming from their own personal experience. What's the thing that is like that? What's their internal ache that might be influencing this? Also, begin with the assumption that people are not trying to harm. Even people who are on the completely opposite side of the argument are usually trying to do good with what the information and that they have. So if you believe that abortion is killing an innocent child, of course you're going to be out there in front of Planned Parenthood trying to convince mothers to save their babies. And if you believe and you remember like an era before Roe versus Wade when needing an abortion meant the very real possibility of your own death and imprisonment and abuse and all of this, then of course you're going to lobby Congress for the rights of women over their own bodies, right? Like it's a matter like neither one of these sides are evil. They are simply like trying to do the best they've got based on their own life experiences and what they understand about the world and how life works, right?
I think so. Yeah. I think so, depending on the topic.
Yeah, like when gentlemen get in the middle of the whole abortion thing, I get a little like, but
which is one of the reasons why I stay out that argument. I do, and I'm proud. I'm proud too.
I mean, I understand. Like again, if someone thinks that like babies are being killed, then they're going to have a strong visceral gut reaction to that, right? Like, of course you are. Of course you are. So,
Norma Peterson, good morning to you as well. She's here. Good morning, Norma. We like to see you all the time.
Here's the other thing I want to talk about too is torture. So, and not as in the is torture good versus is torture bad argument, right? Like that's dumb. But everybody.
What's dumb about it?
Well, I think because it's the same. There's nothing dumb about this argument. What's dumb is like this is one of those places where people are going to like. I don't want to talk about it in terms of as a two-sided issue that people disagree on. What I want to talk about is the fact that
I'm not for it. By the way, I was not.
Right, sure. I'm not like pro to it, right?
What do you mean you don't like torture?
Now that said, I did watch a lot of 24 back in the day, right? Jack Bauer Power Hour. Yeah. Anyway, which is entertaining television, but it's not how torture works. So, in fact, everybody, even the CIA knows that torture doesn't work for extracting actionable information, right? How do you get actionable information on who's about to blow up America?
A pack of cigarettes, let him call his mom, and a bottle of water.
You build relationships.
Exactly.
That's right. And not just like the person that you've pulled in for questioning, right? You build relationships out in the community, right? You're actually out there working with the people who are living in these countries where there is considerable extremism. And those are like all of the people in those communities that you sit down and have a cup of tea with, right? Are the ones that are going to be like, look, this guy's up to something, right?
Yeah, of
like
course.
that is where actionable information
making rapport people.
And so that I think is kind of the thrust of my argument, which is do we have to get along with our brother-in-law who was at the Capitol on January 6th, right? And I am going to argue that like, yeah, we have to at least try to stay in conversation with people who are drastically opposed to the people who, I mean, like people who are trying to take down America. Yeah.
You should call the FBI on your brother who was at the Capitol.
Well,
I'm gonna say that. I'm gonna say that. Shouts out to all the people calling the FBI and their family members.
All right. So, but my main thrust though is that we cannot stop being in conversation with people, even if they are drastically opposed. Because when you start with empathy, you realize that there are things going on that are not just this person being evil.
Right.
And when you're trying to talk about how do we build a more just and a more inclusive society that marches forward, right? That long arc of justice that King is talking about. You don't do it by excluding people. You do it by bringing people into the fold. And you can't do that outside of relationship.
Well, Dan says, how do you explain differences among family members with different political views? They had similar experiences and friends and family. Yeah, that's true. Because we all grew up together, but you just so happened to, vote a little wacky in 2016. Those cases definitely. You can't throw out the baby with the bathwater at all in those situations.
Like, I have a cousin who I love dearly, who is very much on the opposite side of the Black Lives Matter movement with me. And part of that is informed by the time that he spent in prison, right? So, and not like anyone was roughing him up and now he hates black people. That's not it. It's more like he got roughed up by the cops and was like, wait, why are we excluding white people from this conversation? Like, police brutality is an issue for everybody.
Right.
So, like, again, it comes down to, like, understanding what's the root of somebody's thing, like of someone's pain, right? And so he and I actually have really, the rest of the family like cannot stand it because he and I will get in these really like heated things, like where we're like back and forth with each other, but it's all like in the spirit of trying to understand the other side, right? And I think that's underpinning it, is like, how do you try to like, and we actually have a lot more points of agreement than we have disagreement. It's just we've got a couple sticking points, and it's kind of like trying, and so that's kind of what I'm getting at here, is like, how do like, we don't all march forward unless we find the things that we do agree on, right?
I am of the opinion, for those listening, that there are people who are irredeemable. I'm also of the opinion that there are certain topics and certain things that are just deal breakers, and that's where I kind of plant the flag. I work hard to build the kind of society we all want, and I try to build the sandbox so that those who are like-minded can come play in the sandbox. Now, I know what you're thinking. Like-minded, well, you're not reaching out. You're not reaching the people who, you're not even trying to get the people who could be persuaded. And I am, but that's by example. And I believe that they should want to just come play and see how nice the sandbox is and realize how shitty their sandbox is. Mm-hmm. And I think that is something that they have. They have to get to that on their own. I believe that. I believe a lot of people are. I had this conversation with Sandra Gonzalez, but it was about criminals and deportation. Mm-hmm. She believes that under no circumstances, no matter how many people are affected by this person's crime and activity, even if there's been an 18-month investigation showing sales to undercover police officers and gun trafficking, that individual should not be deported. I disagree, but that's how you make.
Yeah, I mean, if you approach from like your vision of the world from like a borderless society or something like that, yeah, you're not. It's going to be just like a completely different worldview. What you give me a look?
Yeah,
it's just a different worldview. So I have a heading here in my planned. This is a planned diatribe, y'all. About whether or not there are any deal breakers, and I'm gonna take the opposite tact, and I am not sure that there are, and people are like, whoa, wait, I'm supposed to stay friends with neo-Nazis and skinheads and crazy ass people who like are in like Walmart coughing on folks because they don't think the virus is real? No. Like, I'm not saying, like, you're best buddies with them. There is a difference, and this is a conversation about boundaries as much as it is about, like, staying in relationship with people.
Sure.
But I don't think that they're deal breakers, and the reason that I think that, I mean, I think what I was saying is this is sort of rooted in my, like, very, like, Christian belief that in second chances, right? Like everybody gets a second chance to stop being shitty. Bleep, do we bleep on the podcast?
We don't got a bleep button, yeah.
And I do believe that there are very, very real lives at stake here, right? Like when you're talking about the people at the Capitol, when you're talking about the anti-LGBT, like people die all the time, like LGBT people die all the time from hate crimes or from suicide, right? Because life is just so miserable for them, trans people, people of color, right? Like these are there are lives at stake, and I don't want to take that lightly. But I also know that the times when people are changed the most are when someone has stayed in relationship with that person and shown them a better way, right? So one of the examples I go back to a lot is obviously not my favorite podcast, because that is this podcast, but one of my hit the claps. One of my second favorite podcasts is The Confessional with Nadia Bolz-Weber, and it's this Lutheran pastor who brings people on and they like talk about like their deep dark stuff, right? And one of the first guests was a woman who had grown up in Westboro Baptist Church, and so she grew up believing that God has cursed America because we let gay folks be. Right? So she talked about, I guess she had some other interests that had her on the internet and various forums where she was coming into contact with people in the LGBT community, and she was seeing like, oh, they're not evil. Oh, they're really nice to me. Oh, like these are people who would reach out and say like, hey, this Westboro thing is kind of messed up, but like let's talk about these other, like do these other things, right? And it was this constant exposure to someone who was on the opposite side of this that was the thing that changed her heart about the LGBT community, and she left the Westboro Baptist Church, and now she's speaks about kind of what it is to change your mind on these things. People who unbrainwash former Klansmen, right, like former white supremacists, they do it in relationship, it's the same way as like trying to get actionable information and torture. Like,
Look, I've seen
relationships.
I've seen those heartwarming 60 Minutes episodes.
They are absolutely not the norm.
Real quick, Ben Tennant says, as someone who has changed political persuasions massively over the years, it does a huge advantage to reframe lots of issues. For example, Medicare for all being beneficial to small businesses, bottom line. Appeal to people's natural predilection, awesome. And you can, boy, that's the word of the day.
Predilection?
Predilection. Good job, Bennett. Or Bennett. Your name's not Bennett. Your name's Ben Tennant.
We're calling him Bennett now.
Yo, Bennett. That's it. Bennett. Thanks a lot, B. Excuse me. Appeal to people's natural predilection, and you can plant massive seeds with that level of deep canvassing. Daryl Davis. Yeah, you're right.
And you can't do that without trying to understand where someone is coming from. So that's where I come back to like the staying in relationship with people, but with good boundaries.
Okay. The time is 8:25 a.m. Let's give these people a little bit of news.
Oh yeah. Let's do that.
Let's give them a little bit of the week. So you've been in a diatribe today, but this is actually a really good conversation because we need to continually find ways to make ground, keep ground, and build on relationships. But real quick, let's talk about the Temple Nye Israel. They have a rummage sale that's going on Thursday and Friday, August 19th and 20th from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Located at 400 North Edgelawn Drive in Aurora. Come say hello, shop, and support. For questions or to drop off donations, contact them at 630-892-2450. That number again is 630-892-2450. Also, real quick, want to tell you that they are still having the drive for feminine hygiene products.
Perfect.
It's going until August 6th. Many drop-off locations and good friends of ours. Open Door Healthcare Center of Illinois, located at 157 South Lincoln Avenue, number K. Mutual Ground, 120 Gale Street in Aurora, and the office of State Representative Barbara Hernandez, 540 West Galena Boulevard. Again, going until August 6th. Shouts out to anybody who donates.
And y'all, another soapbox moment. Go organic, people. Go organic. You're putting it in your body. You're putting it up next to your body. Go organic.
Word up. Go organic. Also, want to let everybody know, once again, the DuPage County Expungement Clinic. October 2nd, that's a Saturday, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Clear your criminal record. What is an expungement clinic? I'm glad you asked. Volunteer attorneys will help prepare and file requests to have your record cleared for free. Many things in your record may be eligible for removal or sealing. The team will help you walk through the process of clearing your record. This will be at DuPage County Administration Building, 421 North County Farm Road in Wheaton, Illinois, 60187. Shout out to Circuit Court Clerk Candace Adams. Sponsored by Prairie State Legal Services, Illinois Coalition of Justice, and the 18th Judicial Circuit Pro Bono Committee. That's an extra word up. Good looking out, yo. The time is now 8:27 a.m. Okay, listen, I don't believe for a moment that this nice, warm, fuzzy, I'm just gonna, he'll be all right. He just needs to, he just needs to learn the true history of Harriet Tubman. I don't believe that we are going to change everyone.
That is correct.
Now, you do.
I don't believe that we will change everyone. I believe that it is incumbent upon us to give the opportunity to everyone to change.
Okay.
That is different.
What if they say
some
no?
people will die like
what if they say no?
Hardcore racist. Some people will die in hospital beds because they didn't get their COVID shot because it was all a conspiracy. Some people will will die having never been changed.
Did I tell you about the guy at Edward Hospital I used to work there whose last words were vile profanity?
No.
Vile profanity. Oof. This man, it was an eye-opening experience.
I hope for my soul that I don't.
I had been through a lot in life, but anyway, he was incorrigible, and they were he was smoking with
from the bed.
No, with he was out there with I would see him with the oxygen mask,
Yeah.
the whole tank
Yeah.
with his thing.
Just
He'd go
so-
downstairs
yeah.
and smoke.
Yeah.
But then one night, he was yelling and using racial epithets upon the highly Filipino staff. And I was leaving the floor, and I could just hear this man just screaming profanities. And like, I hit the elevator button, the elevator came, and by the time I went to like down from like the third floor to the lobby, the code button went off.
Oh God.
And then
Flatline. Oh,
I got
geez.
because I got the pager, so I had to get the crash cart to go
Yeah.
right and bring it back, and it was
That
room
guy.
number 3.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and I just thought to myself like, wow, he went out
Yeah.
just.
Yeah. Some people.
So, but what about those people? Because you're
some
saying that
people will
we
never
should.
change. And I'm not saying, again, I am not saying that everyone's going to change. I am saying that everybody gets the opportunity to. Now,
This is a great conversation.
now I also think though, and here is probably the biggest piece that I want to impress upon folks, is that just because you have some kind of relationship with someone who doesn't you do not have to be the martyr here. You do not need to suffer because of some person in your life who is just crazy or racist or whatever it is, right? You get to enact boundaries. And the question that you need to ask yourself over and over if you are attempting to stay in relationship with this person is, are they still respecting your boundaries? So for example, if you're talking about a person who doesn't believe in coronavirus and they they refuse to wear a mask around you and they're not vaccinated and you've got sensitive people at home and all these things, right? Your boundary, you can choose to be no, I will not see you until right. You cannot lower it, but if they are if they will want to hang out with you and they're willing to set aside this highly politicized virus, somehow got politicized, and they'll wear a mask around you, right? Then maybe and you're comfortable with that, then cool, right? That's a boundary. You're allowed to establish your boundaries. Sometimes the boundaries can also be about talking about the issue too. Sometimes I'm just worn out. Sometimes my cousin and I just don't want to. I'm buddy, can we just talk about anything else, right? And if that person and if they keep hammering at you and trying to pick at you, then that's a boundary where you're nope, walking away. I don't want to be in a relationship with a person who doesn't respect that boundary. But if they're yeah, let's talk about anything else, then cool, right? Boundaries. When it comes to boundaries, you also have to think about the power dynamic too. Is this someone who signs your paycheck or someone who otherwise has the opportunity to make your life miserable?
You don't want that.
Right? You are allowed to extract relationships, romantic relationships where there's some other thing going, there's some codependency issues, these kinds of things, boundaries. You are allowed, if you cannot maintain boundaries, to extract yourself. It may be time to move on from that relationship, right?
So what's your deal breaker?
What's my deal breaker? I don't know that I have.
Or deal breakers.
Deal breakers. It always comes down to the boundary issue. It never really comes down to this person believes something utterly vile. It always comes down to do they respect my boundaries, whether it's about not talking about that issue or it's about something related to it or whatever. That's what it comes down to for me. I'll give you an example. I have a friend who makes guns for a living. That's his deal. I'm super anti-gun because I've had a friend who was shot in a drive-by before, right? So it's kind of a visceral thing. Guess what we don't talk about? Right. And that's, it's fine. It's really a matter of how do you feel when you're interacting with this person?
No, I think that's good.
Yeah.
I think that's a good thing.
Now, I'd also say that boundaries go the other way, too. So, you can't force someone to get a vaccine. You cannot I mean, you could keep sending them articles about how COVID will kill them, but that's not really respecting their boundary either, right? Like, you have that conversation.
Is it not?
No, I don't think it is. That's not. So, like, if you and I disagree on something, and I keep sending you article after article after article telling you you're wrong, right?
Well,
how are you going to feel?
Yeah, but if you keep engaging with me, and you keep coming back, we're like, no, I don't believe that bill that was just signed does that.
There is a difference between, like, in welcome engagement with someone on a conversation, like in a heart-to-heart, like, look, I care about you. I don't want you to get sick. I really think that, like, it would be good for you to get this vaccine. But then it's on the other person to say, like,
you're right.
Thank you for caring about me. I don't want to talk about this, or, like, you can send me other information, right? Like, that you cannot, and this includes self-destructive things too, right? Oh, I care about them and I don't want them to die. Well, of course you do, but your meddling isn't about whether or not they're gonna die. Your meddling is, there's something that you're trying to control.
Yes,
them.
I agree with that.
You know, so, like, they have to respect your boundary. You cannot encroach upon theirs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I can deal with that. Yeah. I do that anyway.
It's a way to reframe. Right? It's a way we're reframing instead of going, because, like, a lot of times you'll see this. Like, I've seen this on social media a lot, right? Like, these posts that are just like, you're allowed to have your own opinion and be my friend, but you're not allowed to deny other people their human dignity and be my friend, or deny the existence of this thing and be my friend, or whatever, right? And I'm like, that's not it. It's not the disagreement, it's the respect for the other person.
Right. All right. Let's do the Montgomery. So
I think that's it. I think that's my diatribe.
That horse is
it's dead.
Yeah.
It's
okay.
dead.
All right. The time is now 8:36 a.m. You're listening to Jenettesplaining on Good Morning Aurora.
It's all news from here on out. So if you're sick of hearing me whine about this,
news podcast. All right, so
what else we got? We got
Montgomery might get rid of a dam. What's the deal with that?
Yeah. So Montgomery has entered into an IGA. It's an intergovernmental agreement, which is just like we signed a piece of paper saying, like, yeah, you're allowed to do this thing. With the state, and they're researching the different options for what would and basically what are the implications of pulling out the dam in Montgomery, right? Which is a pretty big one. Like, you cannot.
Yeah, what's pulling out a dam look like?
Can I just say that I personally really hope
Control
it involves,
Alt Delete. That's how you get to me.
Yeah, I really hope it involves an awful lot of dynamite, but I doubt that it does. Like, wouldn't that be more fun? No, so, Montgomery's got that dam down there by Grays Mill or whatever they call it. Yeah, and dams along the Fox River are really problematic. They were built 100 some odd years ago because we had all this industry along the river. We don't have all that industry along the river, which is why we have, eagles and fish and stuff again.
Right.
Who would have thought if we would just stop dumping chemicals in the water?
Got all these birds of prey.
Holy moly! Like, look at that! Like,
what are we gonna do with all this wildlife?
Right. Who would think? But so the reason that the dams went in is they provided hydroelectric power for all of these factories, and now there's been a movement, and it's like this every 5 to 10 year cycle of, like, what if we pull the dams out? And then, like, usually there's some economic collapse, or there's some, like, local backlash because people like the fishing right by the dam or something like that. And then they give up. And then another 5 years come by or something like that. And people are like, what if we pulled the dam out? Like, so and I feel like this has been, like, look, I have lived on the banks of this river for 30 years. 26 years. I'm 26. I've lived and so this is always coming up, and all I can say is that I really hope that Montgomery and the state and the feds, right, because it costs a lot of money to pull these dams out, so usually there's, like, state and federal matches that they pull this thing out, because what it would do is open up the river for recreation along it, right? So now you'd be able to like put your kayak in up in Aurora, right? And then float all the way down, and it would take you at this point, just taking out the one dam in Montgomery would allow you to get all the way down to Yorkville without having to hit another dam. And then in Yorkville they even have that, like they've got the chute, like a kayak chute where we
they had a water park or something.
Yeah, it's like a little whitewater course that kind of goes along the side of the dam, where once upon a time I put a bunch of mares through there, and some of them fell into the water, which I won't name names.
That must have been some good old Americana. You know
what
I'm saying?
Yeah, I won't name names. Dale Berman of North Aurora, who definitely toppled over, but good for him because he was 80 and he's like, no, I'm going down this course. I am going that. Like, I'm 80. When am I going to get the chance to go down a whitewater course again? So like
Dale Berman.
Yeah.
I've heard good things about Mr. Berman.
Yeah. So all I can say is that he was game to go down the whitewater.
Nice.
Shouts out
to Dale Berman.
So it would open up this whole chunk of the river for recreational purposes, right? It's a shallow part. It would make it a really easy like place you can go. You can tube down it. You know, you can kayak down it. It does change the ecology of the river, but basically it's restoring it back to how it was supposed to do. So
you guys get your tourism on.
That's right. And most importantly, like, you know, you could start at the Roundhouse, right? Get you a beer there and then float down and then, like, end up at OBC, Oswego Brewing, right? And then get you a beer there. And just, like, there's
I'd recommend drinking on water only to the pro.
It's a very shallow river. I feel like you gotta...
Yeah. So like I said. I said.
Keep the life vest on. You'll be fine. So yeah, stay tuned for that. I'm really in favor of it.
I think that's good stuff. So the link to this will be put in the chat for you guys to read at your leisure. The time is 8:41 a.m. Now look, I want to talk about something else.
Yeah, we got other things.
Besides
let's talk about other things.
Here's the thing. Look, so we got a river.
We got a river.
Montgomery's got a dam.
They got a dam. But
did you know, and did you guys at home know? We're talking to y'all. Talk to the people. Listen, how you guys doing out there? Good morning.
You're
watching.
Is it to the camera?
You're watching Good Morning Aurora, the second largest city's first daily news podcast. We got two of them. For you guys at home, we are here. Jenettesplaining, up in this thing. Listen, did you know that there's apartments coming to right next to River Edge Park?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so they approved that this week, and they're going in to the so currently there's a parking lot between the Aurora Township building and the Jake's Bagels, right? So think of where you go for your bagels, good bagel sandwiches.
That's where the cops always lurk at.
Yeah, they do.
Lurk. They do. Way in the back by the dumpsters.
They
lurking.
do. But man, let me tell you, like the everything bagel, like an egg and cheese on that sandwich on the everything bagel, like money. That thing is good. Like I don't get it a lot because of the carbs and all that, but like damn.
Right.
Anywho, the coffee. I feel like the coffee could do better.
The coffee could do better at Jake's Bagel.
Bagel, you got the bagel thing down. Nobody's arguing about the bagels. Like the bagels are great. The bagel sandwiches are great. The coffee though.
Jake's.
Rough.
Step it up, baby.
Rough.
Step it up, baby.
You got so much competition for coffee in this town.
Jake's Bagel. I mean, the coffee is better at Thornton's gas station.
I'm not going to go that far because I can't tell you the last time I had gas station coffee, so I can't really compare. But
maybe that's just.
Oof. But the bagel sandwiches, let me tell you, they got all the different smears. Anyway, so between Jake's Bagels and the Aurora Township building, there's a parking lot. We're going to tear that parking lot out. We're going to put these apartments in. The city gave them some money to do it because, of course, we did. It's less than 10% of the whole. Like, we gave them $6.7 million in incentives. Part of that is tax increment financing, so we're really only taking like $3 million out of our coffers to pay for it.
Dan says he likes Jake's coffee. You know what, Dan?
No!
Dan just had to throw a lemon in there. Like, I like it.
It sits in that pot, man.
Well, wait a minute. Hold on. Didn't we just talked about agreeing with people
We did.
Who don't.
Okay.
Who don't. So let's use empathy here. Yes, Dan.
So we're going to establish
You're right.
boundaries. So long as I never have to drink that coffee.
There we go. Yeah. Then we stick with the bagels.
Then we can
you
be
stick
friends.
with the coffee.
That's right.
Yeah.
Then we cool.
So Alderman unanimously approved roughly $6.7 million in incentives as part of a package with DAC Developments LLC.
Mm-hmm.
The company plans a 246-unit apartment building on North Broadway on the east bank of the Fox River in downtown Aurora.
Here's my thing. They're just ugly. Like the rendering, and maybe it's just the rendering. Maybe when it gets built, I'll be pleasantly surprised, but man, I am not inspired by this rendering. I have to tell you. And it has all the things. Like, apparently it's going to have, like, a rooftop garden-y thing, and apparently it's got a pool and stuff like that, and it's got some balconies, some sad little looking balconies. But, man, it is not, like, an inviting structure.
No, it's not sexy. Not at all.
It's not sexy.
Not at all. It looks like it's got a... You know what it looks like?
I do love that they put all the little kayaks on the river.
I like that. It's got a corporate Oak Brook Drive kind of feel. It looks
good.
It looks like the place you go to get a drug test.
It feels like it's gonna look dated too. Like it feels like something out of the 70s. Like that's how we built apartment condo buildings back in the 70s. So like
bomb chicka wow.
Look, these things can change before they actually get constructed. I'm just saying, like, add a little more character to this thing because we have so much beautiful architecture.
Mark says mix vanilla and hazelnut at Jake's. Y'all like us talking
really?
about Jake's. People now they going in on they're clapping back. They're standing up for Jake's. I like that.
It's fine.
They're clapping
in
back.
Aurora Institution again. Love the bagels.
All right.
It's fine.
Back off the Jake's. Damn, Jake's got fans. Okay, shout out.
Right, okay.
I
do like the location right there in the river. You know, go for a little morning walk, eat your bagel.
That patio Jake's has too.
Yeah, that's nice. That's what I'm saying. That patio is more charming than the $70 million apartment development.
So here's the thing. Now, a little bit of information about the project. So the building will be built into what's now a parking lot, like Jeanette just said, between Jake's.
And look, that's better than parking lots.
It would be the first new private construction project downtown since River Street Plaza in 2007. How about that?
Yeah.
And before that, the last major private new construction was Hollywood Casino in 1992. But Victoria says, hold on, stop the presses.
Oh, okay, all right.
But across from Jake's is Two Brothers, which has awesome coffee. That's a fact.
It's,
that's a fact.
It's a little bright for me.
TB.
It's a little bit of, like, yes, I was a Two Brothers addict. Let me tell you, though, when it comes down to it, I really pick my coffee places based on all of my baristas.
Okay, so the reason that you don't like Two Brothers is because you couldn't develop a page.
I had a rapport with the baristas. Some of them moved on and things like that, right? People move on from coffee jobs, as they well should.
I see.
Yes, but like, it's all about my people, right? And because that's in the morning, I need the caffeine, but also I just need someone to be like, hey, Jeanette, how's your day going?
With the city committing about $6.7 million in incentives towards the project, DAC Developments would commit about $11 million of its own equity into the project and would secure about a $50 million loan. According to the development agreement, the city would give DAC Developments a $963,000 forgivable loan up front. Damn, talk about friends in high places.
Yeah, look, I'm
gonna give you $963,000. That's just take that, and another $2 million in 2022.
Yeah, look, I mean, we've already, like, gone off the cliff of, like, here, just have money and build things, like, in this city. I don't even know, like, and I think I've said this a couple of times, like, look, if the gambles pay off, they pay off, like, big, when it comes to tax increment financing. A downtown Aurora is the sort of community where that TIF districts are actually designed for, right? So TIF districts get a really bad rap because, friends in high places, right? There was a TIF district established on like State Street in downtown Chicago, and you're like, how is this a blighted neighborhood?
But let me Well, finish that. I didn't mean to cut you off. Finish that.
But they were originally designed to kind of tip the scales to make it profitable for developers to build things. And when they are done well, the outcome for the community is increased tax revenue over the long term.
Right. Because what I would like to say, and let me pull back and pause. Let me pause real quick. What I'd like to say is that I'm happy to see development, and SHIT has to get done to make that happen.
Yeah.
So shouts out to the city doing good things with development.
Yeah.
So
now, on the flip side of that, if you
Lord.
are giving money through TIF or any other kind of incentive, that means you hold some purse strings, and that means that you should direct, you have more power to direct developments to do, developers to do things, create things that you really want to see in your community, right? That means that, make a building not ugly, for instance.
Right.
Make sure that there's affordable housing units as part of the development. Make sure, the thing that's most confounding to me about this rendering that they've got here is, why is this all grass?
Because that's not grass.
That's not grass? What do you say?
It's, no, in the picture,
in the picture, there's just grass going straight up to the thing, and I'm like, why isn't that natural prairie plantings? Because that's what we've done up and down the rest of the rivers. We've got wetland, bioswale, native stuff.
But because that's already stone and concrete.
Yeah, but you're pulling it out anyway to build the new thing. So again, if you're holding the purse strings even a little bit, you have the power to say no, this is what we really want there. And I'm like, could you just
that'd be cool. That'd be cool to be a mayor on those TV shows in the 80s when they come to you with this picture. You could be like, make it look better.
Look, let me tell you, I have many, and as a person who has designed many things for mayors who have come back and been I don't like the spacing between those periods there on this invitation or whatever. I'm like, really? This is what you're spending your time on?
Right.
But there are many other people on staff who could be no, put some native plantings in there.
The time is now 8:51 a.m. You are tuned into and watching Jenettesplaining on Good Morning Aurora, the second largest city's first daily news podcast. Hello, all you guys at home.
Hi.
We're doing something new in our studio. Shouts out.
Don't
and
know
welcome.
that I was warned that I was going to be on camera today. Luckily,
Everybody is,
I always look this amazing, guys. You're welcome.
Life is right. You're always ready.
Always ready.
For you guys at home, we appreciate you guys tuning in. Visa Arts asks, will they make sure minority-owned contract companies be used to help build this apartment building? That is an
also
excellent
valid question.
There's an excellent question.
Now,
we'll follow up. We will follow up. But let me know
the city does have a minority women-owned business program.
But let me note that nowhere in the article does it show any, or rather give any information about diversity contracts, which is something I would have been proud to highlight.
Diversity contracts affordable units.
For affordable units, had that been a thing. So if I was writing this, I would have been make sure that people know that, Brothers Incorporated LLC is doing the heavy lifting. But that's not in here.
Brothers Incorporated LLC.
That's not in here.
That's an amazing. That
was pretty good, right?
That was pretty good.
Brothers Incorporated LLC.
All right.
All right. Now,
next thing.
We got one more
Moving
topic
right
for you
one
guys.
more
Time is 8:52 a.m.
We got
Born
it.
ready. Norma Peters. Norma Peters said born ready.
That's right.
Okay. One more topic.
I hope you all didn't throw out your masks. Did you all throw out your face masks? You're going to need new ones. I'm really sorry. Yeah.
We are.
I feel like I warned you about this.
I
feel like if you back up the highlight roll, I'll be like, don't throw your masks away.
I think it was Friday the 18th of last month you did. I think it was. I think it was Friday the 18th of last month. Hold on. Two brothers drip coffee is the best, and I'm a coffee snob, and y'all need to come to Harry Beast's dog parlor to pick up your dapper brews. Absolutely wonderful. That's right. Thank you very much, young man.
You know where my loyalty lies in coffee around here. But anyway.
You like Society 57, which opens up at 11 a.m.
At 11 a.m. It's open from 11 to 11:45 every day.
Right. Right. So by the time you
gotta plan your day around it.
But let's see here. So tell us about vaccinated people in Kane County.
The scarcity is what makes me like it more.
Right.
Yeah,
in fact,
all
they
right.
open so late. That's why I drink the coffee.
That's right.
Yeah.
So, okay. So here's the deal. The Delta variant's going around, and what they're starting to see is more breakthrough cases where, like, if you're vaccinated, you may still get it, and you might be mostly asymptomatic or real mild or whatever, but you can still pass it on to people. This is a new thing. The original COVID Alpha variant, right, the first one that came out like COVID 1.0, did not have this issue. But they are starting to see it. And so as a result, what the CDC now recommends is that if you are in a region where there is substantial spread, everybody's got to wear a mask indoors again. So maybe next week, if we see us, like, I don't know, maybe we'll have to bubble up again. But yeah, like masks inside, right? So in public places. So Kane County, as of yesterday, was just below the threshold for substantial spread in the community. Substantial spread is 50 new cases per 100,000 residents. And we, as of yesterday, were at 47.14 and trending upwards quickly. So, and other region, Cook County, I think, just hit it. Like lots of the surrounding counties around us have all hit that threshold. So the way to get this pandemic,
Camera's on now, so when I drop something in between on my lap, people can see it. That was mad awkward. I was like, nobody saw it. Oh wait, there's two cameras. Everybody saw that.
So the way to stop this virus, we've said over and over and over again, is get enough people vaccinated where it finally burns out. And that is still the case. Just because there have been a few breakthrough cases of people who are vaccinated doesn't mean that the vaccine is not highly, highly effective in keeping you from getting sick and spreading this thing. Right. But there comes a point where, like, the tipping point, there's just so many cases out in the community among the unvaccinated that it kind of starts to spread to the vaccinated people. So get your vaccine, wear your mask, don't be a jerk about it. Right?
In that order.
Boundaries.
In that order.
Boundaries, right?
Wear your mask, get your vaccine, don't be a jerk about it.
Like, that's probably my biggest one. It's just like, don't just be cool, right? Someone's wearing a mask, like, don't be nasty to them. Someone's not wearing a mask, don't be nasty to them. Like, ask them politely if you're in the sort of setting where they should be, but like...
Look at it this way. If you got a nice house, you got a nice healthy family, you got beautiful kids, you just put a pool in the backyard, and you're living in Batavia in a cul-de-sac with an American flag hanging, I refuse to believe that... Was that your stomach? Maybe. I refuse...
PTP has showed up to the broadcast.
I refuse to believe... I could tell, bro. Shit. I refuse to believe that your day, your existence, and your patriotism is threatened by the guy at Chipotle wearing a mask as he prepares your food.
Yeah.
Why?
Just be cool.
Why be mean? Why
Don't be mean.
Obtuse?
Yeah.
Ben already gave us the word of the day, which is predilection, but obtuse is the second one. Don't be like that.
Just be cool.
Just be cool.
Just be nice.
Just be cool.
Like, get your vaccine, wear your mask.
All right, the time is 8:57 a.m. So the diatribe today, let's kind of circle the wagon back to that.
Okay,
because
I
do want to...
We got 3 minutes, let's go.
The diatribe today was about getting along with people that we don't agree with, okay? That is important. Let's all do our very best to make sure that we can build the kind of sandbox that we want. Don't shun people. Attack it with empathy. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think so. Attack it with empathy. Maintain healthy boundaries, but yeah, like, don't assume that you know everything, because you don't.
Right.
Right? Don't assume that they know nothing, because that's probably not true.
Right.
Right? Like, yeah.
We hope that you guys really enjoyed this. They
don't know as much as you do because you listen to and watch this podcast, and thus a lot of things.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. So the next time your Uncle Jimmy inebriated off of Busch Light tells you something that, tells you that Dr. Fauci is wrong, despite his illustrious career as a virologist.
Multiple degrees and, basically leading the fight in the AIDS epidemic.
Just say, you know what, Uncle Jimmy? You're right. Refill his old style. And
I thought he was drinking Busch.
Was it Busch?
Yeah.
Refill his Busch. And go about your business.
These are two different spaces. I feel like Busch is more of a rural cheap lager. Old Style is the urban cheap lager, right?
See, I guess I'm showing my. See, this is revealing.
Right?
I guess I'm showing my.
Old Style is like Northside Cubbies games from
See,
60
as a brother,
years
we
ago,
see no distinction.
We see
no distinction.
Busch is you're playing cornhole out in the sticks, right? In fact, you can even.
Ben says he got a mix. He got the mix and match pack. Make it one Busch, one Old Style, and what's another?
Natty Light.
And a Natty Light, right?
For when you're slamming cheap beer at your college.
That's when y'all start playing
party.
Skinnerd. See, Coors Light is different. Coors is like.
I feel like Coors is more of a mainstream. Like Coors.
They got commercials.
Coors is sort of in there with like your Miller Lights, your Bud Lights, your Coors Lights, right? But like all the other ones a little bit more niche.
Right.
Like your Schlitz.
Schlitz, yep.
Yeah.
At one point in time, that used to be the number one selling beer in America.
Yes, because the beer barons, they had such tight control post-prohibition. Yeah.
Tracy Duran always. Oh, Dan says his uncle drinks Ice House. Your uncle
Ice
too?
House? Damn!
Oh man. And Tracy says hams or red, white, and blue,
Hams,
old school.
No, hams is respectable. Plus, like, you go to like the festivals outdoors, and where the beer is just way overpriced to begin with. Right? Where it's like $8 for a 12-ounce can. But that $8 will get you like the 16 or 20-ounce hams or whatever, like the big can of hams.
Right. So
like, yeah, I'm drinking hams that day. You kidding me?
See, the interesting thing about it too, like, but this is how we build America though too, because like I said, this is kind of a brotherly kind of
all drinking the same beer.
Brotherly kind of thing.
Right.
Like those are not even options that I traditionally even knew until I grew up and went places like Montana.
Look.
Or the Sandwich Fair.
You guys. You guys, we cannot agree on many things in society, but what we can agree on is that when you're cheap, hams.
There you go.
We can all agree on our it's kind of beer, but really it's mostly hydrating, and it's August, and I'm outside in the sun kind of beers.
Ben Tennant, man, I called you Bennett today. I hope you can forgive a brother, but it flowed so well when I took that Bennett. Bennett. All right. So support us on Patreon, YouTube, Spotify. Subscribe to the show. We hope that you guys have subscribed to the show.
Buy an ad on the show. We'll talk about your business.
Yep. And buy the mugs. The Mug Club has come, you guys. We have mugs at Treadwell now. For $35, you get coffee the whole month for free.
Yeah, it's not just the mug.
Yeah, it's not just the mug. It's not just
that
the mug.
$35 for a mug would be a little much. But $35 for a free month of coffee, that's a deal.
People pay $25 for the Taylor Swift sticker.
We're back to T-Swift. We brought it home.
We did. I
think we should.
All right. So on behalf of Jenettesplaining.
That's me.
And on behalf of Good Morning Aurora, we hope that all of you guys at home enjoyed the show. We appreciate it. We got new digs, new set, and pretty soon, Oprah. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen.
That's where we're going.
It's gonna happen. Take care of yourself and each other.
Adios, Aurora.
That was kind of a little corny, I know. Bye.